Every single time you speak, you're following this incredibly complex set of rules. Rules you probably don't even realize exist. They're like a hidden architecture for language, working away silently inside your mind. So today, we're going to pull back that curtain. We're going to take a look at the hidden genius inside your own head. All right, let's start with a classic. Why does this Groucho Marx line work so well? Well, it's because your brain, in a split second, processes two totally different sentence structures. First, you picture Groucho in his pajamas shooting an elephant. Makes sense. But then the punchline forces a second, completely different structure. Groucho is shooting an elephant that is somehow wearing his pajamas. That sudden, hilarious switch, that's your brain playing with sentence structure. It's the perfect example of these hidden rules we're talking about. Now, take a look at these. They just sound wrong, don't they? Your brain immediately flags them. But why? I mean, you've likely never seen these exact sentences before in your life. Yet you have this unshakable gut feeling that the word order is just broken. It's like there's a little grammatical referee inside your head blowing the whistle. That internal referee, that lightning-fast ability to process structure and meaning, that's exactly what we're digging into today. And in linguistics, that something has a name: syntax. Think of it as the invisible blueprint we all use to build and understand every single sentence we hear. So what is it exactly? Well, the simple answer is that syntax is the study of how we arrange words into sentences. But the deeper and way more exciting answer is that by studying these structures, we actually get a direct look into the wiring of the human mind itself. Language becomes this amazing window into our own cognition. Now, this idea wasn't figured out overnight. It was a giant puzzle, pieced together by linguists and psychologists over decades. So let's take a quick journey to meet the pioneers who first started mapping out these hidden rules. Our story really has three main characters. We're starting in the early 1900s with Ferdinand de Saussure, then jumping to the mid-century with the psychologist B.F. Skinner, and we'll finish up with the revolution led by the linguist Noam Chomsky. First up, Saussure. He made this really fundamental observation. When we form a sentence, we're making two kinds of choices at the same time. There's a vertical choice, where you pick a word from a list of options, and then there's a horizontal choice, which is about where you place it in the flow of the sentence. This slide shows exactly what he meant. Look at the columns going up and down. That's the vertical, or what linguists call the paradigmatic choice. In that second slot, you could pick boy, girl, or man from a mental list of nouns. Now, look at the row going across. That's the horizontal, or syntagmatic relationship. The words have to go in this specific order to make sense. It's all about a choice of position. Okay, let's jump forward a few decades. The next big idea tried to explain not just the structure of language, but how we learn it in the first place. This was the era of behaviorism, a theory that tried to explain everything we do, including how we speak, as a simple learned habit. The psychologist B.F. Skinner proposed that language wasn't some special, magical thing our minds do. He argued it's just a learned behavior, kind of like how Pavlov's dogs learned to salivate at the sound of a bell. It's all about stimulus and response. It's a simple but pretty powerful idea. The stimulus is seeing your friend. The conditioned response is saying hello. And according to Skinner, our entire massively complex language ability is built up from millions and millions of these simple stimulus-response pairings, all reinforced over our lifetime. And for a while, this was the dominant theory. Language was just another learned behavior. But then in the late 1950s, a young linguist named Noam Chomsky came along and just blew the whole thing right out of the water. His key insight was to look at children. Kids don't just mimic what they hear, they create. They say things like, "I gooed to the store," a sentence they've never heard an adult say. They're not imitating, they're trying to apply a rule they've figured out. And Skinner's theory just couldn't explain this kind of creativity. Now, this slide here lays out the battleground perfectly. On one side, you have Skinner, who saw the mind as a blank slate that learns language through imitation. But Chomsky's view on the other side was revolutionary. He said the mind is not a blank slate. It's more like a computer that comes with an operating system for language already installed, a kind of universal grammar that lets us generate infinite new sentences from a finite set of rules. And this new theory completely changed the game. It brings us right back to where we started, looking at syntax as a window into the amazing computational power that's constantly running inside your own head. Just look at these. Your brain effortlessly figures out who him and himself refer to in each case. In Bill hates him, you know him has to be someone else. In Bill hates himself, you know it must be Bill. It gets even more complex in the last two sentences, but you still get it, instantly, without even thinking about it. That's your internal syntax at work. And what about these? A French teacher could be a teacher who is from France, or a teacher who teaches the French language. An American history teacher could be a boring person who teaches American history, or a teacher of history who happens to be American. Your brain doesn't just see a line of words, it actively builds the possible structures, which is why you can see both meanings. So the crucial point is this. Chomsky's revolution showed that we don't just memorize and repeat sentences like parrots. We have a generative engine, a syntax, inside our heads that allows us to create and understand a limitless number of sentences, all based on a core set of hidden rules. So, in the end, syntax isn't just about grammar rules. It's evidence of a pre-installed operating system for thought. And that leaves us with a pretty profound question. If language is just the first program we found running on this hardware, what other incredible software is running, hidden, inside the human mind?